Welcome to the Right Podcast.
In your experience as a business strategist and, growth hacking, how important would you say content marketing is to a business that's looking to grow?
Oh, man. It is vitally important. And if I don't answer you right away, it's because it hits directly to it's like you stab me in the heart with a knife, because it hits so close to home with me. Like I'm actually catching my breath before I say something. So, but when you implement content marketing and you do it good and consistently, and when I say consistently, it's not just like once a week, like once a day, once every other day. I'll just share like a business experience that I'm going through with. I won't mention any names because we always sign non-disclosure agreements, and it works. If you just realize that if you put some time in, it's like working out of the gym. You go to the gym, you don't walk out looking buff or whatever the heck you are. It's like it takes time.
Amazing marketing stories, inspiration for entrepreneurs and business owners, real content marketing strategies, tips and advice, and much more.
Hello and welcome to episode 11 in the Right Podcast. I'm here with Brandon Schaefer, who is a business strategist and mentor. He currently owns and runs myvirtualsalesforce.com. He's a business mentor at Score Mentors, and he's worked with multiple companies in growth hacking and brand awareness. He's also the author of Wake Up to Win. Brandon, I'm really excited to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So let's start. What would be your number one piece of advice or something fundamental for someone that's looking to grow their brand?
Get a plan. Sit down with somebody. Write down. I don't even write. I don't even write stuff. I mean, I type or everything. I don't even carry around a pen. But get a plan and sit down with maybe one or two people in your market segment that you can count on. Like if you don't know somebody, like find one or two people that aren't trying to actually sell you anything, that may be in a similar market segment, or somebody that you can sit down with and kind of share where you're at, right? Because most people have spent like 6 months, a year, 12 months, 24 months investing their time and money into something, and they don't see the results, right? So then they get upset, and then they just bail, and they give up. It's not, and I understand it, but if you just realize that if you put some time in, it's like working out of the gym. You go to the gym, you don't walk out, looking buff or whatever the heck you are. It's like, right. It's like it takes time, and to get an unbiased opinion, and not from a wife, a husband, partner, or anything else like that. Get like somebody that can sit down with you and be honest and say, like, listen, how am I going to make this thing work? Like, this is what I've done so far. This hasn't worked. This is the amount of money I spent. This is the amount of money I have left in reserve. What can I do over these next 3 months? And get a strategy together. Because I talk to a lot of people, and they're like, oh, I dumped, I spent $70,000 so far, and I don't have a website yet. It's like we've been launching a website, and it's like don't wait for perfection. Get a strategy, right? And don't spend a lot of money up front. So it's don't wait for perfection, get a strategy, and don't spend a lot of money up front. All three of those you need to really focus on. There's not anything those three are my three magic potions there. Strategy, don't spend a lot, don't wait for perfection, because none of them are you're not going to have a lot of perfection. You're not going to have a lot of money probably when you start, and you're probably not going to have a lot of strategy either. So those three things are the triangle that will yield good results.
I love it. That reminds me of how I started my company. It's so funny. Every point you said just reminded me of how I began. So 4 years ago, actually 5 years ago now, I started my company because I was a really busy freelance writer. I had too much work on my hands, but I didn't want to turn away any client. So I identified a need for a writing agency that had really good writers, because back then it was like the industry was more populated with non-English writers. So I just identified that need, and then in 5 minutes, I literally coined my business name. And I wish I'd spent a little more time on it because I just took that business name and ran. And now I'm like, oh, I could have been more creative. But, I just took it and ran. And now we're a 7-figure company.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, with your stories, kind of like you're sitting there, you're like, oh, this seems like a good idea. Just do it. You're not like spending like a ton of money, because people go out and hire these big firms to do these websites to look like Walmart and Target and stuff like that, or some like site that spends hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just go to WordPress, get something started. Go to Blogger or something. Get something started. Prove your model, and as you prove your model, then you can start to spend some money. But you just don't dive into the pool like without knowing how deep it is. You get like put your toe in, feel it around, see what type of feedback you get, like you did. And now look, I mean, you got an incredible experience.
Right. Well, I think I spent $75 total to start my company. I coded my own website. I learned how to blog myself. I learned how to post everything. So you don't need much.
I'll tell you what, Julie, this is what most people that come to me, I'm like, most companies, I this is what I say initially. Go back. I'll sit down with you. I'll go over a strategy. Come back to me in 30, 60 days. I'm going to see how you're doing. If you prove that you've done what I've recommended, then I'll work with you. But until then, it's really not going to work, right? Because when someone jumps in, everyone has expectations that are like here, because all we hear on the web is success stories, right? All you hear is this tip of the iceberg, super success stories. Like, hey, I started this class, or hey, I did this and that, but you don't hear about the 20 billion other people that haven't made a dime. So it's the shiny object syndrome, and just take the recommendations, start out slow, and build it up from there, and write every day. Write every single day. I don't care if you write 300 words, 500 words. What's the guy? He posts every day. He writes, Seth
Godin.
Yeah. What's he write? Like, it's his posts are 100 words. I mean, he does some more depth. I mean, he's an incredible guy, incredible resource. But his daily posts are like 200 words.
They're really
that's
short.
it.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's something I do all the time, is just sit down and write. Maybe 3/4 of my week is writing.
It's a diary. I mean, for me personally, I take the train, so on most days, so I'll just write on the train. It's an hour ride each way on the train. So usually in the morning time or afternoon, in the afternoon, I'll take a half hour and I'll just write, and whatever I can write in a half hour, I write. And that's me. Like, I'm not sending this to get reviewed or anything else like that. Like, I'm writing and publishing and firing, and I'm on to the next thing. Like, I know it's not going to be perfect. I speak, you hear me speak. I mean, I speak crazily. I mean, I speak like passion. I get loud. I get crazy. I jump
great.
up and down. Sometimes I have trouble talking. I mean, it's just because I'm excited, that's it.
Right. Well, your passion shows.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your background as a business strategist.
I grew up in business. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. My mother is an entrepreneur, so I just naturally grew up around, business strategy, around people always talking about that at like Thanksgiving dinner, at holiday dinners or whatever. That's all we ever talked about was kind of business stuff. So you can say it's unfortunate or fortunate, but, I kind of learned a lot, and I learned a lot about testing things and failing, and that it's okay, and get right back up and tie those shoes on, or you got to tie those laces on your shoes tighter the next day and get up and test something else out. So, as for planning though, it's kind of, I always say failing to plan is planning to fail. Right. So, and that's all strategy is just taking the time to set out kind of a roadmap for yourself to go with. So
I love that advice. So tell me a little bit about the companies that you've helped grow.
Well, I know one of them was BuzzSumo. I know you had mentioned that when you first reached out to me. I recently worked with those guys. And I will tell you, that company does everything that they do 100% correctly. They have a small, lean staff, but they are truly an incredible model. And if anybody on here, you reach out to Steve from BuzzSumo, he will definitely talk with you. But yeah, those guys, they do it They do everything 100% correct. And in the content world, I guess, so much information is driven through content now that market space that they're in is a home run because everybody's looking for content to share, right? So it's perfect for everything for them right now. So it's a really great company. Hashtagify.me, which was for searching hashtags and stuff like that. That's another home run of a company. Great brand that's been around. It's very popular in the social media space for tracking hashtags and searching to see which ones are most relevant, which ones are trending and stuff like that. And then we go all the way to sports equipment companies, you name it. I mean, I'm not going to go on and on with this stuff, but those were probably two of the ones that would hit home most with your audience. I mean, obviously we deal in all different types of market segments, but.
Yes. Well, no, you're right, because I use and I love both of those tools, and BuzzSumo has been, just huge for content marketing. I look at it like an essential content marketing tool. You can do so much better with that tool. I haven't found one that's really better. And you mentioned that what they do the best. Oh, yeah. And I've reached out to Steve. He's actually been on my podcast, and I love.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. And you're so right about that. Like one thing he told me was that he has stayed up later than the competition, and that's been like their number one secret.
Oh, 100%. And they've also got another secret. Her name is Susan, and she does all the WebExes and all kinds of stuff. She is a phenomenal resource. I tell you what, I work with a lot of people, but she is a phenomenal resource for them.
That's cool. It's often people behind the scenes that are doing so many neat things, and you don't know them, but they're there working really hard.
That's the key with business. And that's probably a good point to bring up is that, in business, there's always these secret hidden weapons, these secret weapons, right? These people that really can get you to where you want to go or can help you along. And we all see this bright, shiny object, and everybody, especially if you're trying to get into an account or something else like that, or get a guest post or something else like that, you always go right for the jugular. Like we're on an African plain, like a lion trying to take down a hyena or something, you don't go for the jugular. Hang out in the car, in the Jeep or whatever, see who does what. You will see that there's hidden influencers behind all these big influencer figures. So if you can aim and start to hook up with some of these type of people, and whether you're selling or in any type of big sale, or whether it be an Enterprise 500 or a big company or whatever, whatever the case is, there's always these hidden influencers. I always try to find the hidden influencers, form relationships with them, and then they can lead me to the big influencers when the time is right.
That's really interesting. I love that advice. So how do you find someone like that?
Well, you got to have, I call it butt in the gut, right? So it's like physical. Like if you play basketball, you always butt in the gut, like I'm not like a basketball guy, but I know my son plays basketball. So he's always coaching me on stuff, which helps, but yeah, it's by paying attention. It's by listening, right? Because we all want to, and I'll just speak for myself here. And, it's like, I want to say like how great this is, or what we can do, or what problems we can solve, and how great we're going to do it. But people want to really know what's in it for them though. What effect is it going to have on us? Like if we do this service with you, then what results can we expect? What can we, what's going to be different in our company? So it's important to stay focused on always providing value to the client and keeping them first.
That is so true. That's funny because I just published a blog today about how to stand out as a blogger. And one of my number one tips is to focus on your audience, instead of just you, your brand, whatever you're selling. And if you can focus on your audience and talk to that person, that's so important because that draws them in and they feel engaged, and they're probably more likely to go to your site and do something.
Yeah, and you've got to get active. I mean, just as you've got to go out to the conferences. If you can't afford to go out to the conferences, then get involved in online groups. There's Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn groups, there's Twitter lists, there's you name it. Just get engaged, get involved.
Right.
in these different, with these different types of people. And just, give a response every once in a while. If they write something, I'm more into emails. I will rarely comment on an actual blog, but I will get an email address for them and send them a personal note like, hey, this is where this really hit home for me. Thank you so much. Like, this is really cool. I was just thinking about this, like that type of stuff. So I'll take it actually offline right away. In most cases, if I'm going to take the time to leave a comment, I'll actually take the time to find their email address and then send them a personal email. And that's, you want to get your butt in the gut. That's really gets you belly to belly with somebody,
Exactly. And that reminds me of how I touched base with you. I think it was just through a tweet.
Oh yeah. Well, you again, I mean, yeah, that's exactly how it was. You sent me something and said, "Hey, man, this is I like this or whatever." We took it offline immediately, instant message. I said, "Hey, send me an email." You sent me an email, and a couple of days later, here we're talking. So
exactly, yeah, it's amazing how quickly that can work. It's like something so simple just to reach out directly. And there's so many platforms now, like you mentioned, going to events, and Blab is huge for for that networking. It's been enormous.
Yeah, and there's one thing that I always like to do too with these influencers, just in kind of circling back on the influencer stuff. Find out what platforms they hang out on, and then hang out on those platforms that they hang out on. So if you're trying to get in front of somebody, like if someone's big on Blab or if someone's big on Twitter or whatever else, and they're always on there, find out where they hang out the most, and then communicate with them on that channel, because there's so many different channels. As you know, we're all kind of flipping back and forth. We're getting pelted with stuff. I mean, most people use tools. I know we use a bunch of tools to monitor, tracks and hashtags and direct messages and email. There's all day long, there's stuff coming in. So, but if it's sincere, if it's a sincere outreach, we'll immediately respond back to that, or if it's something bad, we're going to immediately respond. Not that happens a lot, or ever, but we're prepared to take that conversation offline immediately as well.
Exactly. That's so true about finding the platform where they hang out on. I remember I was trying to reach out to someone on Twitter when I was looking for someone to write my book forward, and now I finally got Sujan Patel to do it. But whenever I was looking for people, I reached out to someone on Twitter, and they're like, well, I don't know you. This was an influencer.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know you, but why don't you come and join my Blab? And then we'll get to know each other. And then, maybe I'll do it.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, I know is it Sujan or...
Sujan Patel.
Sujan. Okay. Does he run contentmarketer.io or?
Yes. He started that.
I've actually reached out to him just real quick about how to actually do something. And I've actually tested out that software. It's pretty cool. It was. He's got a couple different things going. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. But he seems like a pretty cool dude. I like his profile picture. And if he's ever in Philadelphia here, I'll be sure to catch up with him.
Oh, that's cool. Influencers connecting with influencers.
That's it.
So, Brandon, I just wanted to touch on as well content marketing, in your experience as a business strategist and, growth hacking. How important would you say content marketing is to a business that's looking to grow?
Oh, man. It is vitally important. And if I don't answer you right away, it's because it hits directly to it's like you stab me in the heart with a knife, because it hits so close to home with me. Like, I'm actually catching my breath before I say something. So, but yeah, content marketing is vital to any size business, any size. I don't care if you're a bricks and mortar mom and dad shop, that you're 70 years old and you're in some small town. Content marketing it gets you free. I don't know if anything's free anymore, because time costs money and here and there. But if you don't have the advertising dollars to actually pay Google or pay Facebook or pay Twitter or any of these other platforms to run ads on, or Bing or whatever, and you're a half decent writer, even if you're not a half decent writer, but you're writing about making saddles for English riding and horses in Wyoming, if you're very specific, there's a very, very good chance, and you're offering some information that's unique, there's a very, very good chance that your content is going to get seen by people and have some type of, you're going to get more leverage and more opportunities to talk to more people. Not only that, but you also have the opportunity to get backlinks, right? Qualified backlinks, not like junk crap backlinks that don't mean anything. It would be like me linking to you, you linking to me, you know, and that shows Google. That's basically free SEO. So, and there's so many different types of content too. Like, get on a blab. You can do a blab. Then you can transcribe what you went over in what you talked about. You can do portions. You could do, quotes from that. You know, there's just, you can make it into a slide share. Then you can make it into, another video and put it on YouTube. You know, like there's 15,000 things to do. So there's no excuse, you know?
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And that's something I found just launching a podcast is the amount of content I can recreate out of this podcast. You know, we've done transcriptions for every episode, and the transcriptions have been like 6,000 words, and we post that as a new piece of content on our site. And that's huge. That's attracting already new rankings.
Yeah, of course. It works. It works. And it's important, but there's so many companies that are still kind of, not believing in it. And I mean, listen, you can pay. I was just doing a guest post, Tor Repslin, you know,
yes. Okay.
Yeah. He just pinged me yesterday about a guest post for something similar to this. So I sent that back yesterday, but, you got to believe in it, right? So there are so many companies that are paying Google. And when I pay Google, I mean, I'm just as guilty of it as well, right? So, you know, it's like when I go to the water faucet, I turn the water faucet on, water comes out, right? It's the same thing with Google. When I pay Google, traffic comes, right? And then when I stop paying them, the traffic stops coming. And there'll still be a little bit of leakage here and there every once in a while. But when you implement content marketing and you do it good and consistently, and when I say consistently, it's not just like once a week, or you can do it once, whatever is comfortable for you. Like, I just share like once a day, once every other day. I'll just share like a business experience that I'm going through with. I won't mention any names because we always sign non-disclosure agreements, but I won't mention any names, but I'll just share like a similar story or something else like that. And it works. I mean, you know, it's a way to get it to work.
Right. So how would you look at different mediums of content as, like, for example, being more important or more essential than another, like blogging as opposed to doing a video, or, you know, different mediums like that? So how relevant is a blog to a business in general? I think about it like this, right? I think about it like this. Again, you're stabbing me in the heart because these things hit so close to home with me. They're always I love it.
Always on my mind. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
But yeah, I look at it like this, right? So when you make a recipe at home, not that I cook a lot and stuff like that. My wife, thank goodness for her, you know, she does a lot of stuff. I'm busy with stuff and everything else. But so when we cook or something, or when we do it, we need all the ingredients, right? We need some like mushrooms, we need some onions, we need some Oreo, we need some butter, we need some chicken if we're going to put in there or whatever, right? So those are all the ingredients, and no one type of content is good for everybody. So you got to like to take a little bit of each one of the pieces, whether it's video, whether it's actually blog content, whether it's SlideShare, whether it's whatever it's whatever platform it is. You need to throw them all into the blender, right? And you need to hit blend. And it just gets you need to touch on all bases. And then once you do that for like a month, for like 30, 60, 90 days, then you can see which one is giving you the most ROI, right? And then you can start to really focus on that one, but you can't leave the rest of them out of the picture, right? Because all of them equal the pieces of the puzzle. So if you find one piece that like yields you better results than the others, then always have that as your primary focus, but still make sure you're always hitting on these other types of content as well.
I love it. That reminds me of a phrase I've seen a lot, like the eggs to your cake. You know, that's like the content. The content to your marketing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, thanks so much for being here, Brandon. Really appreciate it.
You're so anytime, and I'm available anytime. Anybody wants to talk, anybody wants to chat. I mean, whatever. I'm here to help.
Thanks for joining today's Right podcast. For more online content, tips, and strategies, visit expresswriters.com/blog. And now here's your host, Julia McCoy, with a final message.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I absolutely loved connecting to and talking with Brandon Schaefer. You can find him at myvirtualsalesforce.com or on Twitter at myVSF_Brandon. I'm really excited because my book, So You Think You Can Write, The Definitive Guide to Successful Online Writing, came out April 19th, and I've seen it already hit number 2 and 3 on the charts on Amazon. And even better than that, I've been hearing from so many people, including people around the world, that are telling me how much my book is helping them create better content online. And that, to me, is so inspirational. And that's why I wrote this book. I really think that the hands-on skills involved in online content writing are not taught or talked about enough in a way that everyone can understand. It took me over 5 years of self-teaching to learn all of these skills. After a lot of trial and error and finding out what works and what doesn't, I've put everything I've learned into a book. It's called So You Think You Can Write, The Definitive Guide to Successful Online Writing, and you can find it right now on Amazon, print and Kindle, as well as Barnes & Noble and iBooks. Thank you so much for joining today's Right podcast.